So in the beginning of the story, we're told about these two twin brothers named Samaritan and Nemesis. They had some crazy, unique powers. These guys could wipe out the whole world in an instant if they wanted to. On top of that, they were always causing a ton of destruction and damage around the city. Because of that, the news was always talking smack about the two brothers. Even though they were so powerful, they had to stay hidden from everyone. One night, while their whole family was sleeping, people from the city set their house on fire. The brothers didn't get hurt, but their entire family died in the fire. After that, no one was left to take care of them, so the two of them just started living their lives however they wanted. On one side, you had Samaritan, who decided that from now on, he was going to help people and do good for the city. On the other side was Nemesis, who was just burning with a desire to get revenge for his family. He wanted to destroy the city and kill everyone no matter what. And that's where the two brothers' paths split. They even got into some pretty intense fights. Samaritan wanted to stop his brother, telling him he shouldn't be killing people, but Nemesis wasn't about to listen to his brother. During one of their fights, Nemesis came up with a plan to kill his brother. He pulled all his powers together and made this super dangerous hammer to take out Samaritan. The hammer was so powerful it could even kill Nemesis himself, but at this point, Nemesis was just thirsty for death. With a solid plan in place, he started causing a commotion at a power plant. He knew if he messed things up there, all the workers would get scared of him. And when Samaritan heard the workers screaming, he would definitely come to save them. Then, Nemesis would get his chance to use his hammer and finish off Samaritan right there. And that's exactly what happened. When Samaritan showed up to save the workers and fight his brother, they had a crazy, dangerous fight. Nemesis kept using his hammer to weaken Samaritan, but Samaritan wasn't the kind of guy to give up. He stood his ground and fought his brother. But because of their fight, there was this huge blast that killed both brothers. Then the scene jumps ahead many years. We see a kid named Jack. He was living in a rented apartment with his mom. His mom did small jobs to make enough money to feed herself and Jack. Jack was a huge fan of Samaritan. He loved Samaritan's. When he went to talk to him, he asked him what he was going to do with the broken radio. Taylor gave him a weird answer, saying he didn't know what he'd do with the broken radio. Then he said, "But you're wearing a broken watch too." Jack got quiet after hearing that. A little later, when he got back to his apartment, he saw a notice on the door that said they hadn't paid the rent. This let us know that Jack and his mom hadn't paid the rent on the apartment yet, and Jack felt pretty bad after seeing the notice. He needed money now so he could pay the rent. Just then, his friend came and told him about a theft where they just had to strip some wires. Jack agreed to do the theft. After that, the two of them stole a bunch of wires from a house and went to a junkyard to sell them. They only got $40 for the wires, and Jack's friend kept the money, so Jack didn't get anything from the theft. Just then, a gang that did thefts and robberies showed up. One of the guys, named Harold, told Jack and his friend to work with them so they could make more money. Jack's friend knew that if they worked with Harold's gang, they'd get into a lot of trouble later on. So he just flat out said no, that he wasn't going to work for anyone. But Jack, who really needed the money, agreed to work with Harold. After that, Harold explained the whole plan for a theft, saying that all Jack had to do was distract a shop owner. He didn't have to do anything more than that. So Jack did what they said and started distracting the owner in the shop. He put ketchup on his head and started telling the owner that he was bleeding from his head. The owner left all his stuff to look at Jack's head. After that, Harold's gang grabbed some boxes from the shop and ran away. The owner figured out pretty quick that this was all a plan to rob him. By the time he could do anything, Jack had already run away to save himself. Then we see Harold's gang. When they got back to their place and opened the boxes, they only found food and chip bags. Harold was not happy about this because the thing he was looking for wasn't in those boxes. So he got mad and started hitting Jack, blaming him and saying it was his fault they stole the wrong boxes. But Jack knew that he'd done his part of the job perfectly, so he told Harold it wasn't his fault and that he was the one who grabbed the wrong boxes. Just then, a guy named Kratos, who was the leader of the whole gang, showed up. He saw what Harold was doing, that he'd grabbed the wrong boxes and was blaming it all on Jack. Kratos got angry, yelled at Harold and told him to get out of there. After that, he gave Jack a pat on the back, telling him he did his job and should keep doing it that way. He gave Jack $200 for the job so he wouldn't feel bad about what Harold said. Jack was super happy when he saw the money. When he got back to his apartment, he saw his mom and the landlord fighting. The landlord wanted the rent for the apartment, but his mom didn't have any money to give him. Just then, Jack came up behind them and gave the landlord the $200, which paid the whole apartment rent. But his mom didn't know where Jack got that $200 from. When she asked him where he got all that money, Jack didn't say anything and just walked away. After he left, his mom turned on the TV to watch the news. It said that unemployment was rising in the city again, and there weren't enough jobs. After hearing that news, his mom started to worry about her own job. Meanwhile, Kratos had some bombs smuggled in for his next theft. So Jack was walking alone down a street when Harold and his goons showed up. Jack got scared and tried to run away because Harold's intentions didn't look good. But they managed to catch Jack and started beating him up again because their boss, Kratos, had yelled at Harold because of him. They were still beating Jack when Taylor showed up, pushed the goons away, and saved Jack. Harold's goons tried to attack Taylor too, but Taylor beat all of them up on his own. After that, he told Jack that he should make friends like him, not like those goons. But Jack was shocked, wondering how an old man could beat up so many young goons all by himself. He started to get suspicious that maybe this old guy was actually Samaritan, the one who protects people. To find out for sure, Jack started keeping an eye on Taylor, using his balcony to watch Taylor's apartment. When Taylor was changing his shirt, Jack saw that he had a bunch of burn scars on his stomach, and that's when Jack's suspicion turned into certainty. Taylor was Samaritan. On the other side of town, Kratos and his gang started searching the police station. His gang found Nemesis's hammer in a box, and Kratos kept it for himself. He knew how valuable and powerful the hammer was, so he decided that from now on, he would torture people and continue Nemesis's legacy. Meanwhile, we see Jack going to a journalist to tell him Samaritan's story. But the journalist wasn't willing to listen to anything he had to say because Jack had made fake claims about Samaritan before, and every time, he would just bother the journalist with a fake story about him. But this time, Jack told him he would pay him $1 to buy his book, but only if he listened to him. So the journalist agreed to the deal. After that, Jack told him that he knew a guy who wasn't just a regular person, he was something else. Jack told him he thought he was Samaritan because even though he was old, he could still beat up goons. But this time, the journalist didn't believe him either. Feeling sad, Jack was on his way back home when he saw Taylor leaving his apartment for some reason. So Jack, seeing an opportunity, snuck into his apartment and started looking at his stuff. He found a bunch of newspaper clippings that were all about news of Samaritan. Jack stole all the clippings and went back to his apartment, now certain that Taylor was Samaritan. But a little while later, when Taylor got back to his apartment, he realized all his newspaper clippings were gone. He immediately suspected Jack. He went straight to Jack's apartment and rang the doorbell. Jack's mom opened the door, and Taylor said that Jack had stolen some of his stuff, which was very important to him, and he wanted it back. Jack realized he was in trouble, so he gave all the newspaper clippings back to Taylor. A little later, Jack went outside and told Taylor he thought he was Samaritan, his hero. He also apologized for stealing from his apartment. Taylor forgave him and said that he was also a huge fan of Samaritan, which is why he saved all those news clippings. He told him he was a garbage man, and that's how he'd lived his whole life. He was still talking when a car came and hit him. The person driving the car was none other than Harold. He wanted to get revenge on Taylor because Taylor had beaten up his men pretty badly last time. Jack thought Taylor was dead because it would have been impossible for anyone to survive being hit like that. But then, Taylor stood up and fixed all the bones that had been broken in the car accident. Jack was completely shocked and now knew for sure that Taylor was Samaritan. After that, Taylor went back to his apartment and took a cold shower because he couldn't stand the heat. He had to heal himself after the accident, and he did that with cold water. Jack knew the whole truth now, so he started asking Taylor a lot of questions about Samaritan and Nemesis. On the other side of town, Kratos and his men caused a big explosion in the city, and Kratos started giving a speech to the people, saying that he was Nemesis and that he was now standing with the weak-hearted to give them courage and teach them how to live in this world. All the people listened to Kratos and stood with him. After that, Kratos' goons gave everyone Nemesis masks and told them to start causing trouble in the city. The people, believing Kratos and his goons, started rioting and causing destruction in the city because now they considered Kratos to be their savior. The next day, we see Jack and Taylor together. Taylor was there to sell some old stuff he'd found in the trash to make a little money. While he was doing this, he talked a lot with Jack, telling him a lot of things about himself, like how he was old now and wasn't as powerful as he used to be. He told him his powers had faded and he couldn't fight anything powerful anymore. Jack understood everything he was saying. One day, when Taylor was at home watching the news, he saw that Kratos' gang was causing chaos and robbing places all over the city in Nemesis's name. Taylor didn't like seeing all this. He wanted to stop Nemesis, but he didn't want to show himself to the world again. So he went to Jack and taught him a lot of fighting tricks so that if Jack and his mom were ever in danger in the future, Jack could protect his mom. But while they were practicing, Jack ended up hurting his hands because Taylor's body was super strong and tough. Then they went back to the apartment to rest, and Taylor put ice on Jack's hands so they would heal faster. Taylor told him that Nemesis had tried to kill him at a power plant, but he was the one who died in the blast. No one had ever known what happened in that blast, only he knew everything. Meanwhile, Jack was sitting with Kratos' gang for some job. Kratos had taken a police officer captive because he had some information that could get Kratos in trouble. so Kratos was about to kill him. But the officer begged for his life and said he wouldn't tell anyone about the information. Kratos listened to him and let him go. But as soon as the officer started to run away, Kratos shot him from behind because he couldn't have any problems popping up for himself. Jack was watching all of this in secret, and he didn't like Kratos' behavior at all. Just then, Harold and some of the goons were beating up Jack's friend, so Jack went to save him. But instead of beating up his friend, Harold started beating up Jack. Jack was in really bad shape, and Harold left him half dead. He was unconscious, so Harold and 2 of his men put Jack on a trolley and took him to his apartment. But then, from his apartment window, Taylor saw the goons and how badly they'd beaten up Jack. And when Harold saw Taylor in the window, he got scared and ran away because he thought he'd killed Taylor when he hit him with the car. So he went back to his place and told Kratos and all the other goons that Taylor was still alive and hadn't even gotten a scratch from the accident. Kratos was shocked that a person could survive being hit by a car, so he ordered all his goons to go kill Taylor again, no matter what. On the other side, Taylor took Jack to the hospital and told his mom everything, how some goons had hurt Jack so badly. After that, when Taylor was walking alone on a street, Kratos' goons suddenly showed up to kill him. Taylor was not happy to see them, and he got into a fight with all the goons, beating every single one of them. But then one of the goons threw a bomb at him. A little girl was standing right next to Taylor, and her life was in danger. So Taylor flipped a car over to save her. Explosion from the bomb didn't hurt the little girl, but there were a lot of people standing around who recorded all of it. After that, the police showed up at the scene, and all the news channels were reporting that the city's protector, Samaritan, was back. All the people started to believe that Taylor was Samaritan. His secret was now out to the whole world, and Taylor saw all the news on TV. So he started getting ready to leave the city right away. But then Jack showed up and told him that Kratos was planning something big, and they had to stop him now. But Taylor said that it wasn't his job, and he couldn't stop them. He said that's what the police were for, and they would stop them. On the other side, Kratos saw the news and figured out that Samaritan was still alive, and that he was an old man named Taylor. After that, burning with a desire for revenge, he went with his goons to kill Taylor. They stood outside and kept shooting at his apartment. And when everyone thought that Taylor was dead, they went inside his apartment to find his body. But they didn't find anyone in the whole apartment because Taylor had already run away. Kratos looked out the window at the other building, where Jack and his mom lived. He told his goons that to catch Taylor, they had to take Jack captive, and then Taylor would come to them himself. After that, they took Jack captive and left. Meanwhile, Taylor was waiting for his bus. He was sitting there thinking when he realized that Jack's watch had been left behind with him, lying on the floor. He asked her about Jack, and his mom told him that some goons had taken him. After that, Taylor got angry, grabbed an oil tank, and went straight to Kratos' hideout. He started fighting all the goons by himself, but he was a little weak against Kratos because Kratos had Nemesis's hammer. Kratos was overpowering Taylor with the hammer's power, but then he stopped using the hammer's power and said, "I am Nemesis." And then we see a flashback. When Samaritan and Nemesis were fighting, Samaritan was about to fall into the fire from the blast, and Nemesis could have saved him by grabbing his hand, but he let go, and Samaritan died in the blast. Everyone then realized that Taylor was Nemesis, so Jack and all the people were super happy. Just then, the oil truck Taylor had brought blew up, killing a bunch of the goons. Now that Taylor had his hammer back, he felt more powerful than before, and no goon could even get close to him. To save himself, Kratos cut all the power in the city, so there was no light anywhere. Taking advantage of this, Kratos' goons started causing chaos in the city. Then Kratos came to fight Taylor. He put on his mask, believing he was Nemesis again. He attacked Taylor, but his hits had no effect on Taylor. But the place where they were fighting was all fire and heat, which started to weaken Taylor. He fell to the ground, and just then, Jack came from behind and attacked Kratos. But it had no effect on Kratos. He was about to grab Jack and kill him when Taylor stood up behind him and stopped Kratos with all his power. He grabbed Kratos and threw him into the fire, killing him right there. But after using all his power, Taylor became weak. He was about to die from the heat, but Jack didn't leave him alone. He broke a water pipe and sprayed water all over Taylor, which brought him back to life. But it was too late. The whole building was on fire, and the building they were in was about to collapse. But Taylor wasn't about to give up. He grabbed Jack and took him to the other building, saving both their lives. Jack then said, "You might be Nemesis, but you're my hero." After that, Taylor walked away. A little later, the police showed up. The police asked Jack who saved his life, and Jack loudly told everyone that Samaritan was their hero, and he was the one who saved his life. Everyone heard this and started chanting Samaritan's name, happy that he was back. On the other side, we see Taylor. He heard the people's chants and happily started to leave the city. And now, he was thinking that from today, he would help people. And that's where the movie ends. So guys, if you liked our video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel because we really need your support. So we'll see you guys in our next video.